Hi friends, my name is Miss Allison. I'm Director of Education at the National First Ladies Library in Canton, Ohio. And we're going to be celebrating July 4th, Independence Day, this coming week. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories about the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the Revolutionary War and all of the great figures from George Washington to Paul Revere, right? And what do most of them have in common? They're all men. They're all white men. So, today I'm going to tell you a story about the Revolutionary War that involves a woman. Actually, a young woman who is 16 years old. Her name is Sybil Ludington. And we're going to read this book, Sybil's Night Ride, about her story. And Paul Revere supposedly rode 15 miles to warn everyone the British was coming. Sybil rode 40 miles. So this is a really intense, interesting, and exciting story. So let's read along together and see what we learn. Sybil slipped out to the barn to check on the colt, Star. Overhead, low, dark clouds were gathering. She stroked Star's neck and mane. "Imagine," she said. "Father has been gone all these weeks in search of supplies for his militia. Tonight he will finally be home. Wait until he sees how well I have trained you." Back by the kitchen hearth, Sybil helped her mother set down the pewter plates for dinner. As Sybil lit the candles, there was the sound of hoofbeats. She ran down the porch steps. Large drops of rain were falling. "Father," she shouted, "Father is home." Her mother and younger brothers and sisters rushed out to greet him. All through supper, heavy rain pelted the roof and window panes. Father told about the supplies of medicine, clothing, and gunpowder he had secured for his militia. Everyone asked questions. Was it dangerous? Are there enough guns? Are the supplies well hidden? Father was explaining that more hiding places needed to be found when suddenly someone pounded on the door. Sybil turned to the mantel clock. It was past 9. Who could it be? A young man drenched with rain and mud stood on the porch. "Colonel Ludington, the British are burning down Danbury." He stopped to catch his breath. "Look," he pointed east. A huge red fireball glowed in the sky. "The storehouse," Father cried. "Our supplies!" "The redcoats are marching this way," warned the messenger. "They must be turned back." "I have 400 men throughout this county," said Father. "It is urgent they are called to muster." The messenger shook his head. "My horse and I can ride no further tonight." Uh-oh. So what are they going to do? Who's going to step in for this guy? Father frowned. "I must remain here to ready the men to march." Sybil listened closely. Someone was needed to call out the patriots. She would be brave like her father. She stepped forward. "I can go, Father. I can ride the colt. For the whole month you were gone, I rode Star every day." "It is too dangerous," said Father. "The men are scattered, far from one another." "But I know the way," insisted Sybil. "I know the farms of our patriots." So here she is pleading with her father. "There could be spies along the way," said Mother, "or worse, thieves or skinners." Father shook his head. "This is no night for a young girl to ride alone." "But there is no one else." Sybil touched her father's arm. "Please let me go." Father looked out the window at the fiery red sky. Then he turned and looked at his wife. He sighed. "Sybil, hurry and dress in warm clothing. Mother and I will wait for you in the barn." And the family is just aghast. Sybil pulled on her father's old breeches and tucked them into her boots. She threw on her cloak and hat and dashed through the puddles to the barn. Father slid a blanket and saddle onto Star's back. Sybil tightened the cinch. She put on the bridle, threw back the hemp reins, and jumped on. "Be careful," said Mother, tucking a small pouch of bread and cheese inside Sybil's cloak. Father squeezed her hand. First head east, then south. Stay to the roads. When you get to the farm of a patriot, alert him and ride on quickly. God be with you, my daughter. Sybil slapped Star's flank. He took off at a gallop past Father's grist mill. He crossed the rain-soaked fields. Mud splashed up over Sybil's boots, sopping her legs. She pressed Star towards the narrow trail between the bridges and kept her head low. Water poured down from the night sky. It dripped off the brim of Sybil's hat and drenched her cloak. She shivered. And here she is riding. Rain and darkness blurred the trail. Sybil rode for a long time over patches of slippery leaves. Careful, Star, she said, but Star seemed to veer by instinct along the narrow turns. Strands of wet hair stuck to Sybil's face. She pushed them back and wiped the cold rain from her cheeks. A roaring sound came through the trees. Star's eyes pricked up. It's only the mill stream, Sybil said gently. Here she is, walking past the stream. They traveled the path south along the rain-swollen streams. Star stepped through deep mud. His hooves made slushing noises. Sybil urged him on. She thought how much Father was counting on her. Would she and Star make it? She swallowed the lump in her throat. She shouted, "Faster, Star, faster." A loud rustling came by from the trees. Star jerked back. Sybil gripped the reins. "Steady, boy." A deer suddenly leapt out and crossed their path. On and on they went, following the curve of the stream. They headed west. Look at this deer jumping. Great action shot. Finally, they neared a farmhouse. "It belongs to one of Father's men," said Sybil. She broke off a branch of a tree. Swiftly she rode up and banged the branch on the door. "Muster at Ludington's," she shouted. The glow from a candle shone in a window. The door opened. A man came out. "Muster at Ludington's," Sybil cried. "The British are burning Danbury." The man waved and Sybil rode on. Here she is with her big stick. Star turned on the path heading north, uphill through the dense woods. The wind whistled eerily. Sky and trees together were black as coal. Sybil knew it would be easy to lose her way, and thieves could be lurking. Holding tight, she leaned in close to Star's back. "We can do it, Star." Climbing, Star panted as he made his way through the wet, thick brush. Twigs split and snapped, scratching Sybil's arms. Once Star stumbled on a rock. Sybil slid from the saddle to check his leg. It seemed like forever before they began to travel down the slope. Here they are. She's checking his leg. At the bottom of the hill, a clearing appeared. Several farmhouses were set behind a wooden fence. Finally, taking a deep breath, Sybil gripped her branch. She rode up to the closest house and banged on the door. "Muster at Ludington's." She rapped on the door of another. "The British are burning Danbury." She pointed east. "See the red sky?" Dogs barked, horses whined. One by one, candles were lit, doors open. People holding lanterns peered out. "Turn back the redcoats," Sybil cried. "Muster at Ludington's." Farther down the road, she banged on the door of a blacksmith's house. She rode up to the cooper's house and then to the tanner's. "Muster at Ludington's," she shouted again and again. Men ran out. They grabbed their muskets and saddled their horses. Sybil rode on past the cemetery along the edge of the lake, rippling with rain. Ahead, pastures stretched out, separated by low stone walls. More and more houses appeared. Over and over, Sybil cried out to the patriots, "Hurry, come muster! Go to Ludington's! Turn back the redcoats!" Close to the road stood a barn. The door abruptly opened and a man carrying a lantern and a pail walked out. Sybil shuddered. It was a loyalist farmer, Father suspected of being a British spy. She slid off the saddle, grabbed Star's halter. Quickly, she turned him back to a clump of trees. Star stepped on a branch. Loudly it cracked. "Who's out there?" the man called. Holding Star tightly, Sybil stood frozen behind a thick tree trunk. She watched the men head towards her. Her heart hammered in her chest. "Is anyone there?" the man asked. His footsteps trampled the underbrush. At any moment, he would find them. Sybil clenched her teeth and held her breath. Everything will be lost. Oh my goodness, what do you think is going to happen? I'm so nervous. "Woohoo!" an owl hooted. "Woohoo!" The man stopped. Just an owl. He turned and went back inside the barn, closing the door behind him. Here's the next page. Sybil flung herself up on the saddle. "Hurry," she urged. She began to trot. "Faster, boy." Sybil rode on all through the night. She gave her alarm. "Muster at Ludington's! Turn back the redcoats!" Her voice grew hoarse. Oh, I've got a friend here with me today, too. I've got my version of Star is Lloyd the cat, so he's here to finish the story with us. Light was slowly spreading through the sky as Sybil turned away from the last farmhouse. The rain softened to a drizzle. Sybil hunched over Star as he slackened his pace. Her body arched. They started for home. It was a long way back. At last, she reached the Ludington farm. Sybil pulled Star to a halt. Groups of men were forming ranks. Father stood in the middle of the field shouting orders. He turned. "Sybil!" He hurried over and helped her dismount. Then he gave her a long hug. The men cheered. "Hooray for Sybil!" Sybil rubbed Star's neck. "We did it, Star. We did it." "They did it, Lloyd." Sybil Ludington made her ride on April 26, 1777, through what is now central Putnam County, New York. Sometime later, it was reported that General George Washington visited her home to praise her for her brave deed. So, that's the end. That's the story of Sybil. What did you think? I hope you have a great Independence Day and you enjoy it, whether you're inside with your cats and dogs or outside chilling by the pool. You can think of all of the amazing patriots that have helped found this country, including some of the women and African American people who may have not been recognized throughout history, whether they lived during the Revolutionary War or the Civil War or into the 20th century as we're celebrating the suffrage centennial. So I know that's what Lloyd and I are going to be talking about this week, and I hope you join us back next time to talk about all of the cool women in history. Thanks so much.